We gather this evening as a community, witnesses to the passing of another year. We remember, we reflect, we take stock. Since we gathered here a year ago, the Earth has completed another orbit around the sun. Last Rosh Hashanah, Jimmy Carter had just turned 100, dock workers had just gone on strike, and Joe Biden was president. Now, a year later, how do we mark time? 245 days into the second Trump regime, how do we hold what we are living through? Do we go back to January? The pardoning of the January 6th defendants, 1,500 of them? The executive order ending birthright citizenship, the one aiming to oust transgender people from the military? Do we go back to February? Doge, Elon Musk eviscerating agencies, terrorizing government workers, destroying USAID. To March, ICE agents kidnapping Kilmar Abrego Garcia, flying him to a supermax prison in El Salvador. Do we go back to April, the start of Trump's tariff war? To May, the executive order ending funding of PBS and NPR? To June, the ICE raids in LA, the mass protests, Trump sending National Guard troops? Do we go back to July, Congress passing Medicare cuts totaling $1 trillion? To August, Texas Republicans redrawing congressional districts to tilt elections in their favor? How do we tell these and countless other horrendous stories without normalizing them? Do we call it a hostile takeover of our country? Do we use words like catastrophe, autocracy, authoritarianism, fascism? When I hear the word fascism or say it, I try to tell myself, no, it's not exactly fascism, not a dictatorship, not yet. We will get through this. It will just take time. There are these cycles of history. Things will right themselves eventually. But will they? Do I really believe that? I've been delivering this year in review since 2010. I imagine us here in this room 15 years ago. What would our 2010 selves think if they saw the country we are now living in? And how do we face what's happening in Gaza? What's still happening? Any words are inadequate. The starvation, the deaths, more than 2 million people forcibly displaced, the hostages still held, Trump's grotesque vow to evict all Palestinians and turn Gaza into a Riviera. 2 months ago, 2 Israeli human rights organizations, B'Tselem and Physicians for Human Rights Israel, formally accused Israel of committing genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. This was the year of the 12-day war between Israel and Iran. the year the Assad regime collapsed in Syria, the year Netanyahu continued his assault on Israeli democracy and settlers their attacks on Palestinians in the West Bank. What is it like for us as American Jews to witness all of this? And also witness the global surge in anti-Semitism, even here in San Francisco, on Valencia Street, where the windows of Manny's Cafe were smashed and the building defaced with anti-Semitic graffiti. What is it like to live in a time where so much is being destroyed so quickly? At moments like these, it matters what stories we tell ourselves. So let's remind ourselves of some things that have not been destroyed. Commitment. The commitment of 23 Democratic attorneys general working steadily to hold this regime accountable for their violations of law. Honor. The more than 50 federal district court judges who have ruled against Trump, honoring their oath and upholding the Constitution. Courage. The courage of individuals and communities standing up to protect immigrants against abduction. Here's one story among many. In the town of Sackett's Harbor in upstate New York, teachers, school administrators, and community members rallied on behalf of an immigrant family taken during a nighttime raid, and they secured the family's release and return. Leadership. The leadership of scientists creating new organizations like the Vaccine Integrity Project to fill the void left by the current anti-public health regime. Resolve. The resolve of blue state governments standing up for humanitarian values and the rule of law. Protest. In June, 5 million Americans attending No Kings demonstrations in 2,000 cities and towns. In August, hundreds of thousands of Israelis protesting in the streets of Tel Aviv. Perseverance. Ordinary people persevering, not giving up on each other, not giving up on a vision of a better world. Some other things that happened in the past year. Former Philippine President Duterte was arrested for crimes against humanity. Brazil's former president, Bolsonaro, was convicted of attempting a coup and sentenced to 27 years in prison. In the past year, the civil war in Sudan continued, and Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine entered its third year. This was the year Claudia Sheinbaum was elected Mexico's first woman and first Jewish president. In the past year, wildfires raged in the Los Angeles area. The world continued to get hotter, and the Trump regime moved to undo Biden policies to mitigate climate change. In the past year, Notre Dame Cathedral reopened its doors, and artificial intelligence continued to surge. AI is now being used to analyze genetic conditions, improve healthcare, create manufacturing efficiencies, and arguably to surveil us all. In the last year in California, the state legislature passed controversial housing density legislation, and it put on the ballot Proposition 50, which would redraw the state's congressional maps to counteract the Texas power grab. In San Francisco this year, Daniel Lurie was elected mayor, Supervisor Joel Engardio was recalled, the number of drug overdose deaths continued to rise, and the city welcomed a new women's professional basketball team, the Golden State Valkyries. In the last year, the world lost Jimmy Carter, Pope Francis, Gene Hackman, David Lynch, Mario Vargas Llosa, Ruth Buzzy, Bill Moyers, Brian Wilson, Sly Stone, Cecile Richards, and Ethel Kennedy, who did not live to see her son Robert become Secretary of Health and Human Services. The world also lost John Burton, Nikki Giovanni, Roberta Flack, Robert Redford, Giorgio Armani, and Tom Lehrer. In the last year, astronomers discovered the Quipu supercluster, the largest known structure in the nearby universe. If more giant structures like this are confirmed, cosmologists may need to rethink their models of the universe. In our community in the last year, we celebrated new babies, b'nai mitzvah, graduations, and weddings. Teeth were lost, new teeth grown. Many hours of homework were done. Parents and grandparents took care of children. Adult children cared for aging family members. A lot of us did the best we could for our loved ones. In the last year, without warning or preparation, human beings entered into moments of intense joy. In the last year, some of us have lost family members and friends. Some have struggled with illness, injury, addiction, and unemployment. Some have been blessed with healing and new beginnings. Let us reflect on what we have learned this year, what we've learned about ourselves, what we've learned about loved ones and about our community, what we've learned about the world, what we've learned about our purpose in life. Let me close this year in review with 3 quotations. The first is from the Talmud. In the Pirkei Avot, Rabbi Tarfon says, "It is not your duty to finish the work, but neither are you free to neglect it." The second quotation is from Sarah McBride, who was elected this year as the first openly transgender member of Congress. Representative McBride likes to quote her father, David McBride, who says, "If everyone has just a little bit of courage, then no one has to be a hero." And finally, the words of the political journalist Anand Girdadas. "This is not a tragedy. It's an assignment." Shana Tova.